Hey, Shannon, it's so great to have you here. I've been really excited to hear your story and share with others what you are teaching. You are a fellow low carb dietitian. There aren't a lot of us out there. I think most of the ones that I know about, I've already interviewed on this podcast, but I met you because we are both on the board for the American Dietetic Society, not to be confused with the American, not a dietetic, diabetic. Oh my gosh. Diabetic Society, not the American Diabetes Association. So there
Correct.
we go. We are looking to change the world with teaching diabetics how to actually reverse prediabetes
Right.
and type 2 diabetes and not just treat with pharmaceuticals and
Right.
for carbohydrates. Okay, so begin with your story. Like, how did
Sure.
you get to be, kind of in the low carb
Yeah.
space? And yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah. So it's not the traditional route, right? I've been a dietitian for 19 years. I've personally really never struggled with weight or blood pressure. However, my cholesterol has constantly been an issue. Depending on who you're talking to, right? We don't really get concerned with high LDLs too much anymore. But I'll try to keep it really short. I um met a man that I thought I was going to marry in 2017. And at the time I was 37, and we kind of had our future planned out, which involved children. And so we said it could take longer because he's older, I'm older, and we've never tried this before. And we started our own journey. So a year after trying naturally, nothing happened. So we went the whole IVF route. And the whole year of 2018 was well over 1,000 injections and, just hormones and you name it. There was nothing wrong with me, nothing at all. And trust me, I had every test known to man. So did he. Completely healthy adults. But during that process, um, no one ever mentioned anything about food, nutrition, alcohol, stress, nothing. I'm talking about nothing. Now, I went to the best reproductive endocrinologist in Atlanta, top notch. And so I hoped that that was because, oh, he knew that I was a dietitian. There was probably not much to discuss, but it doesn't matter. I don't know anything about fertility. I'm not an expert in that field. That, and needless to say, it did not work, and that's okay. God knew better because I would be a single mom. And so, but what that did was it sort of made me very interested in like an integrative and holistic and functional approach. Like something's not adding up here. And probably you, like me, even up until that point, was just sort of puzzled. Like I've been in nephrology for 12 years. I did organ transplant, bariatrics. Why are all these people on all these meds and why is nobody getting better? We're just expanding these sick populations. Something does not add up. But yet I would revert back to what we were taught, eat every 2 to 3 hours, focus on whole grains, lean meats, low sodium, you know the drill. I found a book called Real Food for Pregnancy by Lily Nichols, and it changed my life. And I went down the rabbit hole, and once you go down, you never come out. You just go deeper. And I could not stop learning. Jason Fung, Ben Bickman, Dr. Eli Jarouge, Robert Lustig, all of the folks in that space, I just couldn't get enough of. And I'm like, this is insanity. Why is nobody talking about this? And so I never looked back. All of my fellow dietitians were like, you're whack job. What is wrong with you? You are going to harm somebody. You're going to get your license revoked. And I'm like, I don't care at this point. I'm not going to lie to people anymore. People need to know the truth and look at what we're doing. It is not working. We have more medications than we've ever had. We have a doctor for everything, all this test and equipment, and yet people are getting sick. Heart disease is still the #1 killer. The two main causes of dialysis are diabetes and hypertension. Tell me something's not broken, right? And so I made it a mission, and I told myself at that point that I would publicly apologize to anybody I had ever worked with that I am very sorry that I was unable to help you. I didn't know what I didn't know. But moving forward, I made it my promise and mission that I will do everything in my power to teach people the right way, because there is a right way. And we're still learning. I'm still learning and changing my views. But the methods that I teach now, I actually get to see people heal. And nothing is more fulfilling than seeing that.
Yeah, your story is so similar to mine. It was about the same time frame too. I think it was 2017 or 2018. And like I had just been through this whirlwind of crap with my son and didn't trust the medical system at all, the conventional system. And I was reading Dr. Fung's book, and the same thing. My jaw was just dropped.
Yeah,
I was working at a natural health clinic at the time, but my jaw, I'm like, same thing. I'd be like, what? Why? This is the opposite
right.
I've been taught. Like, oh my gosh. And then I checked my own insulin, like this, and it was high. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
But we thought we were healthy, right?
yes. And I felt the same way. I'm like, I think I was in my young 40s at the time. I'm like, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been telling people crap information for 20 years. So we can't we can't go back in time, but we can make a difference now. And we can reach a lot of people.
Yes.
And but yeah, my story was so similar. So how did you see a lower carb approach? Because I know I immediately went to a lower carb approach and a higher protein, brought a lot more saturated fats that we had
Yeah.
been told are terrible. Like I went years without eating bacon or hamburger, even though I
Oh,
craved them like crazy. I'm like, oh, I love hamburger. But how did you see low carb change, or just, it doesn't even have to be just low carb, but your newer approach, like
yeah.
integrating a different diet of whole foods. And I'm a big fan of Lily Nichols. If anybody contacts me and said that they're pregnant, what do you
Yeah,
suggest?
she's
I
amazing.
always point them toward her book. I did a training, like I got a whole bunch of continuing ed
Me
credits.
too. I did it. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I just want to like learn actual nutrition
Right.
information. I can apply.
Applicable information. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us how it changed your life.
Yeah. So for me, like I said, I've never been overweight, never had, blood pressure issues. I work out like a maniac. I thought I was eating healthy. It was extremely low fat, lots of fruit, and constantly eating grazing all day. And I had found these, those low fat, those pretzel thins, like, oh
They're
my God.
organic. There's an organic
Oh
version.
yeah, they're so amazing. They're fat free and they're just great. And organic. So I was eating that. No fat. I can't tell you the last time I had bought a stick of butter. Like, I don't do
Right.
that. No eggs. I would have the cartons of egg whites. If I cooked ground beef, it was the 96.4, and I rinsed and drained, and chicken breast,
Crazy.
no thighs, no, and salmon was even a bit fatty, if I'm going to admit, right? So I thought I was doing the right thing. And I had always struggled with extremely high lipid levels, to the point where my OBGYN sent me to Piedmont Heart Institute and were like, you've got to have a cardiac workup. Like your triglycerides and they didn't even, well, they didn't even talk about triglycerides, but your LDL, my LDL was at one point over 300.
Okay.
And so I'd been prescribed a statin probably for 15 years, of which I declined every single time. And so I did the heart workup, zero calcium score, but my triglycerides were 500.
Oh,
And
wow.
so after the whole pregnancy thing, I said, you know what? I'm going to go low carb, slash keto. I'm not necessarily going to cut out everything, but I'm going to drastically change. And I started intermittent fasting. And I didn't do long fast because I'm like, I work out too much. Like I'm
Yeah.
not, but I did, 14, 16 hours. And I will tell you, well, number one, a thing I left out is I'm a sugar addict. Like my brain lights up like a child, like a drug addict. I mean, I swear I would go run a marathon if you're like, Shannon, you can eat crumble cookies all day. I would run all day, like put me on a treadmill and just feed them to me. I don't understand. Like, mama, what did you feed me as a child?
I love
Well, You drank apple juice, my dear. I'm like, geez Louise, we know how those taste buds got created. But yeah, so I went low carb, keto-ish, and intermittent fasting. My triglycerides went from 500 to 250 right away. I noticed my sugar cravings were drastically different. And it was like, oh my God, the freedom of not having to eat all the time and feel
Yeah.
hungry constantly. And it was a bit scary, if I admit, to start eating all this
Yeah.
fat. I had no problem eating the protein, but to incorporate the fat, it was a bit scary. But I mean, I actually got leaner. I'm like, how does this even happen? My recovery got better. And then I started implementing it into I had like my own coaching practice on the side. At the time I was in full-time pharmaceutical sales. And so I had a coaching business on the side that really wasn't taking off, but I started incorporating that and seeing people get better. And I'm like, this is insanity. Like where have we been? But because of the effect that it had on me, I was so convicted at that point that I knew from that day forward that I was going to have a problem working in a conventional setting because everything that I talk about was going to be crazy or going to be not allowed. And I knew that if I wanted to continue to show people the right path, I was going to have to get out of conventional practice. And so, even though I was in pharmaceutical sales, in 2022, I started my own business, like legit virtual metabolic business. And I went on social media. I had never had a social media presence at all. And you're going to laugh because I started in October of 22 and just making content on insulin resistance, fasting, fiber, low carb. And I had found a company that I felt our views and mission aligned with, and I partnered with them to start my own franchise. And so I would throw in little tidbits here and there discussing that, but it was mainly metabolic health. And I got reprimanded from my pharmaceutical company.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So on the fifth reprimandation or whatever, the fifth time, it was a meeting with HR and my boss. And they proceeded to basically say that they had gone through all of my social media and it was a conflict of interest as to what I was doing and that it needed to stop. And so at that point, I had been praying to God about a sign. Please give me a sign, God, about when is the right time for me to leave. And as someone who supports themselves fully, it was a very scary thing because I don't have a plan B. I don't have a husband to support me. I don't have somebody else's insurance account to get on. I had to go buy a car. I had to figure out all these things, and I was very afraid. But at the same time, it's like a blessing, like all these things are coming as a blessing. And so, I don't know if you've ever seen the meme, but it's Jesus down on one knee and he's got this huge teddy bear behind his back, like humongous. And then it's got this little girl, like, holding with all dear life, this tiny little teddy bear. And basically it's saying, trust me, if you let go of this little bear that she didn't want to let go of, she would get this huge one. So I knew after that meeting, I just knew that was it. And so I turned in my resignation the next day. And I've never been happier. I've never been more fulfilled. And I've never seen people get better to the extent that they are now. I mean, I feel like I've helped thousands of people, whether it's directly coaching them or indirectly through the information that you put out, just like I do, trying to guide people down a path to get them better because the information that they're receiving, and I really believe that it's not on purpose, it's not intentional that they're being told this information. It's just that their doctor or dietitian hasn't either A, took the time to learn a different way, or B, cares to learn a different way. And so they are just being fed the information that's keeping them in the loop of diagnose, medicate, more medication, more chronic illness. I mean, you see it, and they will never come out of that ever, ever. And then if they can find something like what you and I teach about using food as medicine, and really it's not magic. It's just it's just real food and real nutrition and getting rid of ultra processed things and chemicals and bringing it back to as close to we can to our grandparents and our ancestors. And it's amazing how the body heals.
Yes, and how God set us
Oh,
up to be
oh,
humans. Like that's I know you're very strong Christian as well, but I've been trying to drill that even more in the last year or so as my faith has grown. But I'm like, it's so true. If we behave and eat and go outside how humans are meant to, we just naturally are
yeah,
healthier. But you
yeah,
bring up several interesting points with your story, and I've had many dietitians contact me and ask like, do you have a course that teaches me
yeah,
how what you teach kind of thing, which I don't. I don't. That's such a huge
yeah.
undertaking.
I'm like, I don't even want to go there.
No, I don't have that. I wish I did. But they also say like, I really believe in what you're teaching, and I would love to do what you do, but like what you are facing, like I carry the health insurance and I can't just start my own business. And
Mhm.
it's so hard as a dietitian because you cannot teach what we teach in the conventional system
Correct.
without getting a slap on the hand, without getting
Yeah,
in trouble.
yeah.
And I've used this example before, but my dad passed away last fall, but he was in the hospital last summer after he had a second heart attack. So he was on a cardiac diet,
Of course.
um, which is low fat, low salt, which is
Yep.
not the
All
worst
carb,
you
all
can that you
carbs.
can have for a cardiac patient. But I walked into his room one day because they just let him select whatever he wants for lunch. And he had, I am not kidding, Shannon, he had a brownie and a no sugar jello for his lunch. That's it. A
That
brownie
sounds really
and
nutritious.
low sugar jello because it wasn't high salt and it wasn't high fat. So it was,
Right, right. It's fat free.
I was appalled. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. I'm like, there's like, this is
No.
your lunch.
Well,
He's
they feed diabetics, spaghetti with garlic bread and, a roll of spaghetti.
margarine and no
Oh, God.
protein. No, it's so backward. And I like to think because it's like I surround myself with people like you and other people who believe the same thing. I like to think things are shifting and changing, but then
They are, Shannon. They are.
I
We,
pray they are, because then
yeah,
I have a scenario like that, and I'm like, oh my gosh! So he's eating a brownie and no sugar Jello, and he's rotting in this room with no, like you can't open the window
yeah,
because it's
yeah. And they probably have them on an
oh
on
my
its
God.
sliding scale insulin because
I'm like, Dad, let's get in your wheelchair and go outside, and I'll give you a beef stick or something. Like this is
it's sad. You're
so it
so
is.
you're
It's
so
like
right.
there's just so many layers to the issue,
There is.
and
Yeah.
it's like dietitians are just taught what they're taught and fed, and a lot of dietitians have eating disorders of their own and really believe in the healthy at all size type.
Yeah. Yep.
That's just what we've been fed, and a lot of those eating disorders are stemming from our food system and what we're told
Yeah.
to. I mean, I know I thought about food all the time when I was eating
Yeah.
high carb, and every couple hours I'd eat my breakfast about 10 o'clock. I'm like, okay, when is it lunchtime?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think of food for like 5 or 6 hours now after I eat a meal. It's crazy
Right.
in the way that we now eat. But okay, so you are off on your own and seeing clients. What kind of results are you seeing with them?
Oh my gosh.
Tell us, give us some inspiration.
Do you want to see pictures or you want me to just tell you?
I mean, if you have pictures handy, I do put this up on YouTube.
Okay. So I'll send them to you and you can post them
Yeah,
if you want.
okay, that would be.
Um, but so I can give you a couple scenarios. I had a gentleman who is a truck driver, very, very simple, educated, right? Doesn't really even know what carbohydrates are. Severe diabetic, morbidly obese, high cholesterol on all the meds, the picture that 93% of our country is suffering from. And his A1C went from 16.5 to 5. He lost 168 pounds. So that's one person.
Five.
Another
Oh,
person, this,
we like it under 5.4, but 5, that's
yeah, yep.
low.
Another gentleman who was on disability, on 25 medications. And his doctor told him if he didn't, he said, this is the last time I'll see you. And he goes, what do you mean, doc? He goes, you're going to be dead before the next time you come here if you don't change some things. So he had been watching my social media. He, purchased the supplements, followed the protocol that I teach. And within 6 months, he was down 110 pounds and he was off 23 of 25
Oh
medications.
my goodness.
And he said, Shannon, it's not just that. He goes, you're never going to believe this. He goes, I save $540 a month because of you. So
Wow.
not only is my health better, but I don't go through the drive-through every morning, which was about $8. He goes, and the copays for my medications, that's
Right.
$540 in my pocket. And being on disability, you have no idea what that does for me.
Mhm.
And then we actually have a couple Prader-Willi children that, while we can't cure that, being able to help them control their appetite with something like this naturally, the moms are ecstatic. They're losing a little bit of weight. Children with ADHD, ADD, being able to come off stimulants because they can focus, right? When you remove those foods that spike our glucose, that spike our insulin, that make our brain run, all the chemicals. We have athletes that are recovering and able to work out. And, Michelle Hearn, who is a dear friend of yours and mine, she said out of 5 or 8 ultras that she's run, by the way, she just broke that course record. She ran almost 45 miles in 6 hours
I know.
using, she's low carb keto too,
Yeah. Yeah.
utilizing these supplements. She said it's the first time in her entire ultra career that she slept the night of her race, the night after, because she didn't ache. She was able to recover. So all of these things that we talk about, whether it's low carb, intermittent fasting, using some natural supplements as tools, focusing on a real food, animal fat-based diet, the body heals.
Yeah.
Blood pressure. I actually have nephrologists sending me CKD patients that their CKD stage 3 or 4 are recovering, Shanna, like with no kidney damage coming off of blood pressure medications. That does not happen. Once somebody is diagnosed with CKD, what you see is lots of drugs and CKD 1, 2, 3, and then dialysis. It does not reverse. They are reversing. It's beyond PCOS reversing and people getting pregnant. There's a lady, she's 47. She goes, this wasn't supposed to happen. I was not supposed to get pregnant. But it's amazing what happens when you heal your body.
Yeah, you give your body the environment and tools to heal itself, and it will. And yeah, I think we've just overcomplicated things
Yeah.
so much. And I will bring in, I'm sure everybody's dying to know, like, Shannon, what supplements are you talking about? Like, we'll bring that in before we close out here, and talk about that a little bit. And I'm just learning about what Shannon is going to be talking about, and I'm excited to have it as another tool. But I do want to ask you, so we've been led astray in a lot of areas, right? Like we've been led astray with nutrition, we've been led astray with sunlight and sunscreen
Yeah.
and being outside and just all these areas. What do you think has been the most detrimental to, like, I mean, we are just in a crisis, like everybody
Oh,
knows.
geez. Yeah.
Well, a
Yeah.
crisis. Like our population that we're working with, it's 93% of the population. So where do you think, what's been the worst thing that people have been told or led to believe that we just need to debunk?
Well, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. But
I know so
I
much.
think, and I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but I think social media by far is probably the number one issue because that brings a whole bunch of different things in. Wrong information, conflicting information, lots of promotion of these foods that we don't want them to eat, medication. It's crap food, medication to fix it. Crap food, medication to fix it. I mean, they even have medication coming out now that will slow down the muscle loss from these GLP-1s. I mean, come on. How ridiculous are we?
What is the
But
actual problem here? Yeah.
yeah. So I think that, but then I just think it's lack of knowledge.
Mhm.
And I think food addiction. I really believe that food addiction is huge because these food companies are making ultra processed food that people can't stop. Shanna, people know that donuts and French fries and ice cream every day, they know that's not good for them. No one wants to be 400 pounds, and
Right.
certainly no one wants to be on 19 medications.
Right.
People know,
Yeah.
right? But they still find themselves just like that gentleman every day doing the same thing because they can't stop. Nobody wants to be there. They
Right.
can't. And so we don't talk about it in the right way. We don't bring it to light enough, and we don't provide enough safe spaces for people to be vulnerable to come to help. So I think that's huge. And I think the fact that we have demonized real food
Mhm.
and is another issue. And I wish that I could give you one answer. I don't, you know, the sun is the simplest thing people can do is just go outside and you're not going to get cancer if you go outside. I mean, they show, I read a study that showed most skin cancers are areas that are not
Yes.
that
Ever
are shaded
exposed
from the,
to this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So it's that, but just the misinformation that once you're sick, that is your identity, and it's chronic and progressive. And so the lack of knowledge is the biggest problem. The lack of knowledge. Because if we give people knowledge, we empower them to heal themselves.
Knowledge and tools to
Yeah.
make
Knowledge and tools. Yep.
everything. I think you hit the nail on the head because I have this question written down. I wanted to make sure that I ask you. And in parentheses, I think like the devil is winning with food and screens.
Oh my God. I
Exactly what
cannot.
you said, because it's like screens, they give you the wrong information. Number one, they also like suck you in so that you're
And they normalize unhealthy.
and you're comparing yourself to
Mhm.
everybody. It's just a complete waste of time in most circumstances. And then then you see all these foods that you crave, you go eat the foods, they make you fat and lazy and lethargic, and then you don't want, and
But
it's
then
just,
we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, Shanna, to talk about it,
I
right?
know. And but I mean, we need to look at what they are and what social media is. It's a distraction for people, right?
It
And so
sure is. Yep.
casting you away from everything that's whole and good. I shouldn't say
Right.
everything. There are definitely, I mean,
Yeah.
we make
Yeah.
our movies on social
Yeah.
media. And I shouldn't say we make our, but it's a part of our business. It's a
It
part of,
is. It's how we reach millions of people that we
yeah,
would not have access to, right? To provide the correct information that by the way, I think you and I will both agree, we will humbly accept when we're wrong.
right.
And
I mean, we
and
were wrong
I
for
challenge,
saying
like,
it.
I want to continue to learn. And as I learn, some of the things I talk about may change.
Right.
I hope they do, because
Yes.
I only want to be better so that I can learn better and teach better, right?
Yes. And I go back like my following on Instagram, like the ones that are still there with me, they have seen me change my stance on
Yeah.
things. And one of them being intermittent fasting. And I was a huge faster like you,
Oh,
but I was doing it in a way that was hurting my female
yes.
hormones. And so I flipped it. I still intermittent fast, just like you, like most 14, 16, sometimes
Yeah.
8, but it doesn't even feel like it anymore because I've flipped it on its head
Yeah.
and I've done it in a way that aligns with circadian rhythm and God's,
Yeah.
how
And
we're,
the hormetic stress can be
yes. And it
right.
doesn't even feel like intermittent fasting anymore. Like, and so I know
Yeah.
sometimes like you change your stance on something and people are like, I'm unfollowing you. I'm like, okay,
That's fine.
that's, I'm,
But the problem is, Shanna, is when we put ourselves in a box to be too dogmatic. And
Right.
that's where a lot of social media influencers get in trouble because they can't change their views. Their brand, their identity is this one thing, you know, and it's okay to change your views. I think it's healthy. I mean, I've changed my views. For instance, like, I used to think these long-term fasts were great. Maybe they are for men, but maybe they're not for women, right? Like there's a time and place, and everything is so individualized. And that's why it's so hard for us to speak in general terms, because maybe a long fast is okay for somebody that is 400 pounds and extremely diabetic and, not, they are postmenopausal versus somebody that still has a cycle so there is a time and place, I think, for it. It's not a cookie cutter answer. But I do want to always, um, learn and be better so that I can teach better and help people better. And I think that if you don't, then you're putting yourself and your clients or your patients at a disservice.
Yes. And understand that not everything that works for you is going to work for
Yeah,
me.
absolutely.
Everybody's a little bit different. And, if an approach that we are doing doesn't sit well with you, that's your nudge that you shouldn't do that. Like,
Yeah,
you need to
that you
look.
can change. Yeah, yeah. Find what works for you.
Yeah. Well, we weren't going to talk about unicity today, but I am very intrigued about it and to learn more about it. And so that's what you were alluding to earlier with the supplements. And I will be learning more about this. And by the time the podcast comes out, I'll know more about it as
Yeah,
well. There are very trusted, respectable people in our field
yeah,
who are on the front line, like you and I, like working with clients, working
yeah,
with patients, working with very, very metabolically sick people. I mean, you had somebody with an A1C, what, 26 or so? I mean, that's
yeah. I
it,
mean, it's
average blood sugar of like 500 or something crazy.
insanity. Yeah.
Very, very sick individuals, metabolically. But tell us a little bit about this
Sure.
and how you're using it with your
Yeah.
clients.
So it's a tool. It's called the Feel Great System. And what it is comprised of as a yerba mate concentrate and a fiber matrix. And so the yerba mate concentrate contains something called chlorogenic acid. I did not know anything about chlorogenic acid prior to stumbling upon this supplement. But if you dig down deep and look at it, chlorogenic acid is an anti-carcinogenic, it's an antioxidant, it's an antiviral, antibacterial, anti-diabetic. It lowers blood pressure, it helps with weight loss, and it's a potent anti-inflammatory and an insulin sensitizer. So what does is, and all of this that I'm saying, guys, is not just Shannon. It's backed by over 24 clinical studies. We are in the PDR, which is a physician's digital reference. You can pull up any pharmaceutical. So it's backed by studies. The Cleveland Clinic, the University of Sydney, BYU, Stanford. We have some pretty big, people behind our name. Dr. Ben Bickman, who is one of the top metabolic scientists in the world, is the medical advisor here. And so this product, I drink it in the morning. I call it a tea. It makes fasting easy because it increases our own endogenous GLP-1 by 60 to 70%. So the reason people like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound is it shuts off the food noise. It suppresses appetite and allows you to be in control of your food. This does it naturally with zero side effects, but it increases the sensitivity of our cells to insulin so that we don't need as much, right? It lowers blood pressure. It helps with mood and focus. And one of the biggest things that I hear from people is like, oh my God, my energy is just amazing. So it's not a caffeine spike, drop you down. It's a very steady state energy source. So I have one in the morning. I use it as my pre-workout. It's a great for people that work out. You don't have to be unhealthy, but it boosts our liver's production of glutathione. So it really helps with muscle recovery. Michelle Hearn, who is our fellow friend, drinks this, like I mentioned, during her runs and as a recovery drink. So I have one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And then before my largest meal, I have this fiber matrix. And so what this does, it's a blend of 7 different types of soluble and insoluble fibers. It's only 3 grams of fiber. It's not the volume. It's the diversity. And so the Cleveland Clinic studied this and said it could replace lipid lowering meds.
That is,
This lowers glucose 43% per
wow.
clinical study. You know how much metformin lowers glucose? 25 to 30%. So we have clinical studies showing it lowers glucose more than metformin, but it's a prebiotic, so it helps populate or gives our gut bacteria the proper food. And it thickens up so you get fuller faster and you stay fuller longer.
Do you
So
get bloating from that?
no,
Okay.
no. If you have an extremely unhealthy gut, you
Yeah.
might see initial bloating and gas, but that goes away pretty quickly. So for me, my triglycerides went from 250 to 50.
Wow.
My HDL, our good cholesterol that's extremely hard to get up, went from 53 to 122. I've never felt better. I've never felt more in control of my food. I've never had better energy and recovery from working out. And I really like to work out, probably too much. Uh, but it's just been an amazing tool, Shanna, to offer to clients, to people who, number one, maybe can't tolerate a GLP-1, maybe don't want to take it, maybe it's time to come off, maybe they can't afford it. But for children with ADHD who want a natural option, for people that are struggling with their glucose and don't want to use insulin or ready to come off. So it boosts ketone production 80% in a fasted state. I forgot to mention that one. So it's been phenomenal in my practice to give people a natural alternative. And what I've seen, again, I tell people from the beginning, I'm not a doctor. I cannot change your medicine, but you have these conversations with your doctor that you're going to implement some fasting. You're going to implement a lower carb diet. So you need a way to titrate your meds down in a safe way. And I will tell you this, since being a part of Unicity, October of 22 until now, I've helped no less than 1,000 people reverse their diabetes, lose weight, come off medications, and completely reverse their insulin resistance. The company gives everybody a 90-day, 100% money back guarantee. You can use all of it. There's no medication interactions. It's just food. It's safe for pregnant women, nursing moms, children. HSA, FSA accounts cover it. So if you have one, they cover the cost. But yeah, it's just, we all are looking for tools to help.
Mhm.
So the things that you and I recommend people do, like I mentioned, people want to do these things. They want to get healthy, but sometimes the addiction part is so strong that people need help. And so how amazing is it to be able to offer somebody a natural option that's just in line with you and our views? There's a time and place for medicine. There is, without a doubt.
Right.
But go there too quickly and people get stuck on them. So what if we can save your life in a natural way? And it's truly just, it gives me chill bumps to see if to people change. I mean, I get message after message after message from people that say, you don't understand. I was at rock bottom. I've tried everything, and nothing has worked. And I have never felt better. It's just why I do what I do.
And I was telling you before we started recording, if the company that makes these had approached me or sent me an email, like I get so many, like, oh, can you promote our supplement? Can you promote this? And I'm like, oh, like I don't have time to research all this
Yeah.
stuff. And usually I just delete them, supplement stuff especially, because
Yeah.
I'm
Because
so
there's so many. Yeah.
picky about what I will actually recommend. And so just knowing like Ben Bigman, my favorite scientist in the whole world, is
Oh
the
yeah.
medical director, I'm like, yeah, like he's
And
just
here's
honest.
something.
Like he would never give anybody anything that would
No,
mental.
no. And he drinks it every day. And Nick Norowitz, for those of you who know him, I reached out to him because he did a YouTube on chlorogenic acid,
Okay.
and it shuts off sucrase isomaltase gene. If you have a mutation, you don't crave sugar. Clearly, I don't have the mutation. So, but he talked about one of the things that suppresses that gene is chlorogenic acid. So I reached out to him and said, "Hey, Nick, I'd love to share this with you." He got on board. And when I tell you, y'all, for any of y'all who know him, he's going to dot every I and cross every T.
Yes.
We provided him with all of the third-party testing, the certificates of authenticity for the amount of chlorogenic acid, the clinical studies. We provided him everything. And he now is a big fan. He's done several videos on it. He talked about how foam cells in arterial plaque release exosomes, which communicate with the myglobia in the brain and cause dementia. You know what blocks that? Chlorogenic acid. And so it's just been phenomenal to see these, people get on board. Dr. Jason Fung, Dr. Nina Teicholz, Dr. Jamie Seaman is now a big fan of this. Mindy Peltz. It's just, it's crazy. And people are just, nobody knows that it's out there. And unfortunately, the few bad ones give the good ones,
Right. Right.
a bad rap.
So tell us why. I mean, obviously it's helping thousands of people. Tell us why it's not in like, no doctors are prescribing, or I shouldn't say prescribing. We don't need a prescription for it. Why aren't doctors telling their patients about it? Why is it like this hidden gem? Because everybody, everybody's like thinking they have to be on Ozempic and GLP-1s.
Yeah.
Of course, those generate massive income, but why don't we know about this? I don't even know about it. I'm like, how do I not know about this?
Because there is no marketing, there's no advertisement, there's no billboards, there's no commercials. And it's by word of mouth through people who truly believe in it. And doctors, number one, don't know about it. And most are so just, they shy away from supplements so easily that unless it's a prescription, they don't want to know about it. Despite prescriptions coming with a black box warning and a 2 pages thick of the side effects, but that's okay because it's a prescription. When you have a natural option with 0 side effects or contraindications, and they won't know part of it. But that's where what's beautiful is we're one of the few supplements in the world that are in the PDR, so your doctor can go pull it up and look it up and see. And once they see their patient's results, a lot of clients will not tell their doctors what they're doing because they know they'll get their hand slapped. But they get blood work done, they get on this and they go back and their doctor's jaw drops. What are you doing? And they tell them and they're like, they'll look it up and they're like, keep doing it. Keep doing it. So it's just a lack of people knowing about it. That's why. And so we need people to know about it, because if there's something out there that truly helps people, we need people to know about it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll put a link in the show notes and I'll figure out more about this. We need to bring you back. Maybe we'll bring some of the other experts that you mentioned. I'd love to interview Nick. I contacted him a couple years ago because I was introduced to him when my son was really sick with ulcerative colitis. If I'm thinking the same, I think he has.
Yes, he does. Yep.
Yeah. So I think Michelle kind of gave me his contact information, but he's one of the most intelligent people I've ever. Oh my gosh. One of those people you wish you could just like zap
bottle up. Yeah. But we have a lot of people with ulcerative colitis doing phenomenal.
Oh gosh. My son's been in remission for years, but I'm like he's a college student in the most stressful time period of his life. Like I know he eats and drinks things he shouldn't be, or I shouldn't say shouldn't be, but that aren't optimal for
we're human.
Like any tool that I can give him that is so super helpful. Well, I know we need to be cognizant of your time. But it was a real pleasure to talk with you today. And I'm looking forward to working with you in a closer to capacity. We're definitely going to have to bring you back, and maybe we'll bring Michelle on as well. And because people need to know all about all of these tools that, that are available to them. So.
Right. Well, I thank you so much for having me. Like I was telling you earlier before we started, like we rogue dietitians really need to come together and be a resource for people that aren't getting better with traditional dietitians. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way. It's just, what's the definition of insanity, Shannon? Doing the same thing over and over and getting different results. That is our medical system today. People are doing the same thing over and over and getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So we have to do better. We have to do different. And you and I and Michelle and Temple and some others have found a different way, and people are getting better. So why not band together and just share the information? And that's why, ONA, who you and I work with together with Dr. Mariella Glant, and the American Diabetes Society with Dr. Ken Berry and Bickman and Dr. Westman and Dr. Tony Hampton, are changing the world a little at a time, but every voice matters. So I so much appreciate you letting me come on and have my voice.
Yes, I am just very excited to be connected with you all the powerhouses that I just love and respect, all on one team. It's going to be
Yes.
great. It's going to be great.
Yes.
And we'll put a little plug in at the beginning, but we are doing a really special event in August as well that we'll
Oh yeah.
tell you about, that you're going to want to join. Hold 6 hours of all our metabolic madness.
Pick our brains, ask all your questions.
Yeah, so we'll be sure to plug that in the show notes and at the beginning, so that you know exactly when that is and how to join. But thanks so much for your time today, Shannon.
Well, thank you so much.
It's fun.
Thank you.